My all-time favorite book, if you have a child that would fit the criteria of Asperger syndrome or what's now being called ASD level 1. This is the very first book that I read about Asperger's by my favorite author, Dr. Tony Attwood. And it was in this book that I really began to understand when Sydney was 5 or 6 years old that this is probably what we were dealing with. There's a little checklist in the back, how to go through it, and you can at least kind of see if it's trekking for you. Now he's updated this to the complete guide of Asperger's, and for all of my clients, if they are teenagers, young adults, or they're married, I require this as part of their reading for their educational phase. So there's other things, if you like to get magazines. This is now Autism and Sensory World magazine. This Autism Asperger Digest is a quarterly produced. This magazine usually has kind of the latest things that are coming out. It's geared towards educators, professionals, parents. Dr. Attwood, Dr. Brandon, Jennifer O'Toole, Jed Baker, some of the big names in the autism community tend to contribute to it. I had the privilege of contributing to it with Dr. Attwood in this particular magazine. And then another one that's geared towards parents. This is an online subscription. It's Autism Parenting Magazine. Sydney and I have both written in this one as well. So these are both very economical, and something if you want to get something quarterly or monthly just to update you, these are great resources for you. Now I mentioned throughout this segment of a lot of different books and resources, and maybe since you're not a counselor you can't go to conferences or places where educator books are sold. So I usually like to order my stuff through Future Horizons. And then there's also a product category here for Sensory World based on if you're looking for things in sensory. Now there was recently a study that came out that said it was a population of 2 million people across 5 countries. And what the study found is that autism tends to have an 81% hereditary rate, leaving about 20%, they're saying, to environmental factors. So what I have begun to find as I'm working with special needs families and there is a child on the spectrum, that mom or dad, or mom and dad, may also be on the spectrum. And so this leads to a different kind of therapy in neurodivergent marriage therapy, or ASNT therapy. So again, the very first thing I'll have my couple read is Asperger syndrome, since usually the adults I'm working with tend to identify more with Asperger's instead of autism. So this is the first book I'll have them read for education. And then for the lady, I will usually have her read the other half of Asperger syndrome by Maxine Aston. And Maxine Aston also wrote a book for men, what men with Asperger syndrome need to know about women, dating, and relationships. So these are some introductory books for many people as they have a child diagnosed, may start to find other adults in their lives that are on the spectrum. So these are books that I tend to use in my marriage therapy and family therapy with people on the spectrum. I hope you've gotten something out of all of these resources that I've shared with you. If you find something that works for you, again in the homeschool setting, or something that you can suggest to your teachers, educators, or counselors. But mainly we just want to talk about normalizing this for the child, helping them accept their label, help them learn the skills where they have deficits, making them understand we are not trying to neurotypicalize them or make them be anything other than they are not, but help them have the skills they need to be resilient and confident, so whatever their potential is, whatever their outcome or transition is after school, being the job force, being college or graduate school, or anything that they want to do, they have the best skills. We're providing that best outcome for them. Thank you for joining me for this segment.